we have all heard about rock and roll groupies, right? The popular misconception is that they are basically ladies who have sex with rock stars, like, period. That's it. But the role of the groupie is much more nuanced than most of us ever realized. Check out what Pam De Barres, groupie to Keith Moon and a bunch of other folks, says about her role. I am still trying to set that word groupie straight because all it means is just a music lover who wants to be near the band. Period. That's all it means in whatever capacity. Sexual, sometimes yes, but also friends, helpers, assistants, guides. We wanted to uplift and enhance these people who moved us so much. That's all a groupie is. They are music-loving muses. Okay? So on this week's, or tonight's, Loudini Rock and Roll Circus podcast, we're going to tell you the stories of the greatest groupies in rock and roll and dispel their sordid reputations. Get ready to rock out with your talk out. It's the Loudini Rock and Roll Circus. Children of all ages and grandmas and grandpas too.
Maybe not grandpas and kids of all ages for this one.
Oh yeah.
What a grandpa likes.
No, definitely grandpa.
Listen, my dad's in the hospital. He's all this stuff. The nurse comes in today. She says, "I love your father." I said, "Why?" She says, "The first time he lays eyes on me today, he says, 'Oh my God, you are so beautiful.'"
Flirt.
He's in the hospital. He can barely open his eyes, and he's already thinking about some ass.
So Lou, you're saying your dad took a turn for the nurse?
Oh, damn! I don't have the rim shot set up.
Already.
Oh man, I have to get it. That was great. Took a turn for the nurse. I love it.
Here comes the sharp cheddar.
Anyways, you probably have no idea what we're talking about, but we'll get into that in a minute. I will fill you guys in a little bit later on. But anyways, it is the Loudini Rock and Roll Circus. My name is Loudini. I am the ringmaster. We are Power Trio this evening with Lily V6 from Rock Rage Radio, our absolute library of knowledge of rock and roll, and Pittsburgh Kevin, as always. Pittsburgh Kevin has a birthday coming up soon.
Yeah, next week.
Next
podcast.
We're starting the party today just to make sure we get enough partying in.
Week-long party.
Absolutely. So, go to LoudiniRockandRollCircus.com and or LouLombardiMusic.com. There's a lot of cool stuff there. You get access to downloads and music and our private Facebook group where it's just all people talking about very cool people, by the way. There's no dicks in this group. There is none. Everybody's so freaking cool. And if you just want to go a place that is super cool and you can talk about music and chill and nobody's, this is where you want to go. So just go to LouLombardiMusic.com or LoudiniRockandRollCircus.com and find out more about that. Shout out to our brother from another mother,
who is listening tonight?
Chris Thunderwolf Dotson, wolfscustoms.online. This is where you go when you're getting up on stage and go, "Oh man, my guitar looks just like the last four morons that played before me." Right? And that happens, right? You call Chris Thunderwolf Dotson at wolfscustoms.online. You get a hold of those guys and you say, "Hey, Chris, I got a problem. I look like the other three morons that played before me." And Chris says, there is no problem because you're going to send me your guitar and I am going to make it look so good, so marvelous. You're going to lose your mind. And that's what happens because he sends it back and now you've got a guitar that is, first of all, it's totally professional job, okay? Like, this isn't like Pittsburgh Kevin putting
I knew that was coming.
Putting electrical tape and spray paint to make it look like Rick Nielsen. No, this is like serious shit this guy does, okay?
Or like Lily buying spray glitter at the hardware store.
No spray glitter, none of that horse shit. This is a totally pro thing. If you go to wolfscustoms.online, they have photos and stuff like you can check out what they do. It's sweet. So go there, check them out, get its custom work done. Not just guitars, basses, any kind of musical instrument.
Tambourine.
Yeah, sure. Nice. If you like, as you like. As you like. RockRageRadio.com. We love those guys. They just had a birthday. What's the birthday? 5 years? 8 years. 8 years. So happy birthday, Rock Rage Radio. We're so happy to be part of you guys. It's awesome that what you're doing to keep great rock and roll in the public consciousness. So hats off to you. Salute you. RockRageRadio.com. Download the app, and you can listen to great music and great programming 24/7, including what, Lily?
My show, Hot Licks with Lily 6, on Thursdays, 6 p.m. Eastern Time. I do interviews and play mostly unsigned bands, but also mainstream stuff, so check it out. And there's something for everybody. It's 24/7 music and talking about music.
Awesome. That's all it's about. Okay, guys, cool. And Pittsburgh, Kevin, how you doing tonight?
Feeling older.
All right.
Feeling older for some
right.
reason.
I can't imagine.
Oh, shut up. I hate you.
Each out there.
I haven't died yet.
No.
I'm not dead yet.
Okay, so let's go ahead and get into this madness.
Hey.
Groupies. We're talking now. These ladies were not. Okay, they were not like band hoes or whatever you want to call them. You know what I mean? They weren't just like no.
They weren't just that.
No, they did. They weren't just that. I mean, there was absolutely pretty women, rock and rollers. Hello, like what do you think's happening? You know, come on. I mean, pretty women and rappers. What do you think's happening? Pretty women and
movie stars, even
movie stars and people at the Grand Ole Opry or whoever. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? So anytime you get lovely ladies who want Elvis, anytime you get lovely ladies who admire musicians, actors, writers, whatever, this is a kind of a situation. And these ladies were just not only they were like helping the band run errands while they were on tour, you know what I mean? They would go pick up the laundry and stuff. They were like really helpful because when you're on tour, man, you're trying to like figure out how you're going to live, you know, out of a bus or whatever on the run. There's a lot of stuff that we take for granted. One of the things we take for granted is real companionship. And this is something that these guys were really, they were quite frankly lonely for. Taking wives and girlfriends on tour. Anybody in a band out there who's ever toured will tell you that it's very hard to do unless you are really famous and you have buku bucks to afford that sort of thing. So these ladies would provide a kind of home away from home. Am I sort of talking about this in the right way, Lily?
Yeah.
You know, that's what you know that was the kind of essence of what they were being able to. They were kind of wife, mom, sister, you know, all mixed up in one to kind of like, you know, help these guys get through. And, you know, we all glamorize it, and it is super fun to play, and it's super fun toward, you know, very small scale stuff too. And it's super fun to do. But there is something really nice, but there is something like that can get lonely, and there are downsides to it. And there is this feeling of like, all you're doing is living for that hour or 2 hours you're on stage. You know, imagine that's your whole life is going to like what that hour and a half to 2 hours you're going to do in the evening. And that's it. The rest of your everything. So you need a break from that. That's like, that's madness. That's just crazy. So this was one of the ways these guys found this sort of like solace in what they were doing. And I know a lot of people were probably going like, Loudini, you know, these guys were famous and, you know, and all stuff like, yeah, but you know, every form of prison, right, has its, what's the line from the Eagles?
Oh gosh, I don't know what you're thinking.
You know, I can't remember the thing, but it's to the essence that like no matter what it is, how good it seems to be, there's always it's ups and downs. Like it's relative, everything's relative.
Yeah.
So these ladies were the kind of like helping these gentlemen out. I know some of this is controversial because not everybody was 18 years old who was involved with some of these situations, and I'm happy to discuss that as well. So Lily, this is a really kind of like something Lily really, really digs. She thinks about this. She reads a lot about it. She's really fascinated by this lifestyle. So why do you think you're so fascinated by this lifestyle?
Because I'm not brave enough to actually become one of these women to tour with these men for years at a time, and I just am fascinated by their lifestyle because it's not just sexual, because it's also the partying, it's also the helping, it's also the other stuff that came out of it, because these women went on to do other things like be in bands or do the
Or they've been immortalized.
or that.
Oh, yes.
Sweet Connie.
Yes. Or there's one who got her master's degree. There are things that they've gone on to do, even though they've partied hard.
Exactly. One lady has her own wine and has written a couple of books.
They've all but one written a memoir about this.
And so you find that kind of admirable.
Yeah, I do. And I've been on tour buses in a non-groupie type situation where I see these musicians break down because they're not with their wives or their family, and they're sitting there smoking pot and just literally bawling. I've seen it happen, and it's like, oh, I get it. So
it has its downside, and it's really there's a lot of pressure on you.
Yeah.
And then add the fact that they're probably thinking, oh my God, we got to do the next record, and what if it doesn't sell, and the record company's really up our ass, and blah 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 blah. So who's your well, I'll let you. We could talk about that. I was going to ask who your favorite groupie is. But why don't you just go ahead and get started with giving us a list, and Kevin and I will chime in as we go along here.
Alrighty, sounds good. So the first on my list is Laurie Maddox, sometimes known as Lori Lightning. She's a former American child model and one of the baby groupies. Baby groupies are a group of women who are very underage. They were 16 and below in L.A. and New York. It was from the 1970s, Groupie Culture. As of November 2015, she's a partner and buyer for a glam boutique in West Hollywood. She's best perhaps known for an interview with Thrillist in 2015 in which she made allegations of being involved in sexual relationships with David Bowie, Jimmy Page, and Mick Jagger. Relationships which would have occurred while she was underage and while the musicians were in their 20s. Her experience has become a notable discussion point in the Me Too movement. They use her as an example in the Me Too movement, which we don't really love, but...
Well, is she? Does she feel hurt by her experiences?
No, but she's used it as an example. She didn't.
But what I'm saying is, I find this very fascinating.
Yeah.
Because what I'm asking is, is she saying that she was raped?
No,
she isn't saying that.
No, she's not saying that.
And this is very similar to the young woman in the situation with Roman Polanski, and that woman's been on Howard Stern and all kinds of she's like. I was something I wanted to do. I'm 40, and I've never had any bad thing about it. I'm totally fine. Yeah. So it makes you really question. It's things that make you go, So anyways, continue.
At the age of 13, she began frequenting clubs on the Sunset Strip with her friend Sable Star, who we'll be talking about later.
They have great names.
I know, right?
Lily
Six.
Yeah.
Yeah. Particularly the Rainbow Bar and Grill, Whiskey A Go-Go, and Rodney Biggenheimer's English Disco. These were the popular places in LA. Maddox said that when she was 14 years old, she and Star were introduced to David Bowie while he was on tour in the U.S. When Bowie returned to LA 5 months later, on the night before Bowie performed at the Long Beach Arena in 73, Maddox claimed Bowie's bodyguard was sent to pick her up and Star for a sexual encounter. According to Maddox, as she told Thrillist in 2015, she and Star met Bowie at the Rainbow Bar before the three went to Bowie's hotel suite and had sex. Bowie de-virginized me. That night I lost my virginity and had my first threesome. However...
Whoa, you can't just glow. Whoa, time out.
Back it up.
Well, hold on. Hold on a stinking minute here. Hold on.
There you go.
I was trying to do it fast.
She loses her virginity during a threesome.
Yes.
Damn!
But there is some contradictory on this because Star says that girl wasn't with them when her and Bowie did it. Laurie lost her virginity, but she says it wasn't due to a threesome. Sable says it wasn't due to a threesome. So, we don't know.
Okay. I don't have any cat noises, but it does sound like...
Yes. In 72, while Led Zeppelin were in LA for their 72 North American tour, the 13-year-old Maddox began dating Led Zeppelin guitarist Jimmy Page. According to Rolling Stone, Page went to Great Lakes to keep the relationship a secret due to the possibility of being arrested for statutory rape. At the instance of Led Zeppelin's manager, Peter Grant, Maddox was kept locked in a hotel room, sometimes even in the closet in the room, with a security guard at the door during the band's subsequent U.S. tour. Not only to hide her from being discovered by authorities, but to also hide her from other rock stars who wanted her because she was that good.
How does somebody hit her? How old was she?
14 at
How
that time.
At 14, how does somebody get that good at sex?
David Bowie? I don't know.
This whole situation calls so much of like our contemporary mores into question. Like it's absolutely fascinating. Go ahead.
According to Maddox, after they'd been together for a year, Paige was willing to be seen in public with her and began taking her to concerts. She claims she ended the relationship when she was 16 years old after finding Paige in bed with B.B. Buell, another girl we're going to be talking about this evening. Wow. Buell gave the alternate version of the story, claiming that despite the fact that Maddox had given her exclusively to Jimmy Page from age 14 to 16, she was barred by Page's security from seeing him once once he began dating Buell. So Buell said, "No, this guy's mine." Laurie Maddox is said by Led Zeppelin biographers to have been referenced by the band in the song "Sick Again," specifically with the lyrics, "One day soon you're gonna reach 16, painted lady in the city of lies." So that is Miss Laurie Maddox's story.
I just want a woman to go have a meal with me. One. Just one, Lou. There he is.
Thank you, Bones Magoo. Finally, here to save us.
He was waiting for it.
So any thoughts on Laurie?
Well, I was kind of interjecting as we went.
Yeah.
It's a crazy story. It's if she feels like she's like normal and well adjusted, I don't know what to say about it. I don't know.
There's not too many that are like screwed up after their situation. I mean, they chose to do what they wanted to do. None of them are really acting like they did anything wrong.
Well, who was? You'll probably bring her up, but there's somebody who caught hepatitis.
I don't think I have that one.
Okay,
but I only included 12 on my list.
So. Yeah, this is just a young lady who, kind of at a young age, kind of knew what she wanted from life.
And there it is.
I don't really know what else to say about it. Pittsburgh Kevin, you have anything you want to add? Or?
Oh, you don't want me to add.
Okay. So who do you got next, Lily?
So we have Pamela Debar next, and she's one of the more famous ones. I do have her book called "I'm
Visual
with the Band."
Aids.
Rock and roll groupie writer.
We're
musician.
holding it up, by the way, real quick for everybody.
Yes.
It's Lily has the hard cover. I said hard.
Yes, I got it for $1.
And she has a bookmark in it. Let's see.
That's where I'm at.
Okay, let me just let me read an excerpt.
Read it, yes, please.
That's William Shatner?
No. I don't think I can pull it off at the moment. It would be good, though.
Yeah.
I'd have to take the glasses off. Yes. Okay. He was sitting with his knees bunched up to his chin, engrossed in the yeehaw music. And when he saw me, he got up and let me in. He took the kitten in his arms. I wished it could have been me. He had on a t-shirt, jeans, and bare feet, but he put on his funny wraparound shoes because he was going to a session, which he said was going to be a drag. He offered me some pot, but I said no thanks. He probably thinks I'm a twerp. He couldn't take the kitty because he's about to go on tour, so he took me and the kitty back to my car, his Porsche. I was in his Porsche! Exclamation point, exclamation point. It was the most perfect time in my entire life. There must be a couple of pages of silence.
That man was Weird Al Yankovic.
It was weird. She's talking. This is where you are in the book. Do you know who she's talking about?
I don't remember.
Okay. But I mean, what you can see from Pam there's this nice young lady. She was very much into this situation.
Yes.
Doesn't sound.
It's a next door neighbor. It's not even a musician.
Oh, it's not even a musician yet. She's warming
We're not
up.
there yet.
Wow. But this book looks pretty well worn, Lily.
It's the original, I believe.
What
I found
I'm saying is,
yeah.
like, have you read it before?
No,
Oh, you're
I
just
found it
into the
recently.
used.
Yeah, for $1.
I'll buy that for $1.
I did.
And I did.
She's a rock and roll groupie, writer, musician, and actress, best known for her best-selling 1987 memoir, which we just showed. Details experiences in LA rock music scene of the 60s and 70s. She's also a former member of the experimental Frank Zappa-produced music group, the GTOs.
Oh, yeah.
A high school acquaintance, Victor Hayden, introduced Debar to his cousin, Don Van Villay, better known as Captain Beefheart, a musician and friend of Frank Zappa. Van, in turn, introduced her to Charlie Watts and Bill Wyman of the Rolling Stones.
Never heard of them.
No. Which drew her into the rock music scene on the Sunset Strip in L.A., which is the dangerous place for groupies to go, obviously. She started to spend her time with the Byrds and other bands, and when she graduated from high school in 1966, she took various jobs that would allow her to live near the Sunset Strip and take part in the rock music scene. God, she's just like a woman after my own heart. She famously went on to form friendships with many of the great musical artists of the era and became romantically linked with various notable creatives such as Mick Jagger, Jimmy Page, Keith Moon, Nick St. Nicholas, Noel Redding, Jim Morrison, Chris Hillman, Graham Parsons, Waylon Jennings, Brandon DeWild, Michael Richards, Woody Allen, and Don Johnson.
Michael Richards. Kramer.
No, not that Kramer.
Not
not
that Michael.
Although, maybe.
She regularly flew around the world with Led Zeppelin and sewed shirts for musicians she loved. So she was sort of like a seamstress on tour before she did really anything. Cool. She pursued a career as an actress, and she was in several movies, including Zappa's 200 Motels. She did commercials, played a recurring role in the soap opera Search for Tomorrow throughout 1974, and she was a nanny and babysitter for Frank Zappa. Which she was in the band, which we already talked about. In October 1977, she married Michael De Barres, who had been a lead singer first with Silverhead, and he was signed to Deep Purple's record label. They have a son, Nicholas Dean De Barres. The couple divorced in summer of 1991. She wrote 2 more memoirs.
Michael De Barres has a show on
one of the series.
On one of the series channels, I believe on Ozzy's Boneyard.
In March, the March 19.
That's how I was
That's
like,
how you know who that is?
I'm going like, I read about her and I'm going like, I wonder if she's related to Michael De Barres now.
She married. Or she was married to him. She wrote the 2 memoirs, and it's widely believed that Cameron Crowe drew these memoirs to create the groupie character Penny Lane. But we found out later that he drew from several different ones, including one that I don't have on my list because I figured everybody knew who she was. Penny Trumbull. In March 1989, issue of Playboy magazine featured De Barres in a nude layout published together with...
What?
Yes.
Nude?
Yes.
We're stopping this podcast right now.
Liar from hell. She was quoted...
I'll not have that kind of talk, Missy.
No.
She was quoted saying, I wanted to be in Playboy when I was younger, but my breasts did not precede me. But now I have semi-celebrity tits, so they don't have to be as big.
Nice.
I don't like that. She also has 3 nonfiction books that she wrote about... Okay, so I'll just read what they are. Rock Bottom, Dark Moments in Music Babylon, Let's Spend the Night Together, Backstage, Secret of Rock Muses, and Super Groupies. Today, Pamela Debar continues to author books, contribute to others' works as an editor. She does articles online for print publications. She writes a column for Please Kill Me. She actually confessed in that online thing that she once kissed murder and former Manson family member Bobby Beausoleil in Golden Gate Park during his pre-Manson days. She's led such a life, so there's so many things going on. And she also teaches creative writing classes in LA as well as several other cities throughout the U.S. and internationally. She affectionately refers to her writing class members as her dolls.
There's one now.
That sounded like a gremlin.
Well,
but she is one of the more famous ones. She's experienced a lot of things.
She's a real kind of like...
Go-getter.
Yeah, go-getter.
She's a go-getter.
Renaissance woman. Like, good for her.
And I can't wait to finish this because I want to read about... I did kind of skip ahead and see how...
I guess the argument is this.
Yes.
For every Pam De Barres, there's like 100 girls who like screwed their lives up.
Right.
That's the argument. I don't... We aren't talking about that. And I don't know... And so I want to be kind of fair about the situation. But I don't know that one way or another. Maybe most experiences are relatively positive.
Yeah.
I don't know that. I would imagine if there was like really jacked up stuff going on, that there'd be like, legal stuff happening. You know what I mean? Somebody's beaten up or,
It was very glamorized in Almost Famous of how the groupie lifestyle was. Like I'm pretty sure it's probably not always like that.
Yeah, and those are different times too. The 70s
right.
and 80s.
It was a different era, of course.
Yeah.
It's just kind of it sounds super glamorous, and maybe it is. Maybe I missed my calling. Maybe I should have been a groupie. Which brings to the question I was going to ask you.
Yes.
And by the way, we cannot miss this day in music because there's a couple of really important things we need to talk about.
Okay.
Did anybody run across any boy groupies?
I thought about doing that, but I couldn't find anything because it's like the Go-Go's and the Runaways.
Well, not just that, but I'm thinking about like
Bowie,
and I'm thinking about Boy George. And people like that. Rob Halford,
yes.
people like that.
Right.
And then like how many of these like so-called like straight rockers also occasionally like to get with one of the boys.
Right.
Oh my.
And that might be an outlet for like, okay, look, I'm not really gay, but I like to kind of like experiment, mix it up.
Right.
I've done like a million chicks. I don't know. Bring a guy in here and just see what the hell happens.
Let's see what goes on.
And just see what goes on. Like I could imagine that scenario. Can't you guys?
Yeah.
Sure.
You know,
Absolutely.
when you live a lifestyle
on
of
the
like,
road,
you
you're
know,
bored.
Well, on the road, bored, but you
Same
also have people
stuff.
catering your needs, and you got tons of drugs, and you know.
Let's
the
see
road
what we can
goes
do
on
next.
forever and the party never ends.
Yes,
you know
yes.
that, like, you know, you might do some twisted shit. Is all I'm trying to say.
I see.
I'm not trying to say that. I'm saying that.
It's exactly what you're saying.
That's exactly what I'm saying. So it's just we'd be kind of curious, and if anybody in the anybody commenting,
We've got Chris Thunderwolf just saying he's here.
Chris
Hi,
Thunder.
Chris.
We have other watchers, but they're not talking, so I can't see them.
Okay, so if you guys have any questions or anything you want to chime in on, we'll try to read your comment and give you a shout out. I can't send you any money or anything like that, but
Thanks for asking.
your participation is appreciated. So who do you got next?
So you asked me who my favorite groupie is, and this is my favorite groupie. It's BB Buell. And I know you know why, but I'll go ahead and read it first. Beverly Lawrence BB Buell. American model and singer. She was Playboy Magazine's November 74 Playmate of the Month. She moved to New York in 72 after signing a modeling contract. She garnered notoriety after her publicized relationship with musician Todd Rundgren from 72 to 78, as well as her liaisons with several other musicians following the 4 decades. 4 decades.
Wow.
Good for her.
She is the mother of actress Liv Tyler, whose biological father is Aerosmith frontman Steven Tyler. So that is why she is my favorite, because she mothered one of my favorite actresses, and the father was Steven Tyler, who was one of my favorite musicians. Todd Rundgren is Liv's legally adoptive father. In 2001, Buell published her autobiography with St. Martin's Press, Rebel Heart, An American Rock and Roll Journey. I don't have that one. It's on my list of things to buy. It was a New York Times bestseller, and the paperback was issued in 2002. She actually recorded a 4-song EP on Rhino Records produced by Rick Derringer and Rick Ocasek.
Wow, look at that.
With the Cars serving as her band on 2 tracks.
Cool.
Wow.
I'd like to hear it. I have to go back and check it out. I know, like, most of them weren't super successful when they tried to get into music.
Right,
not at all.
But I've heard that a couple of them had, like, decent things going on.
It sounded
They can do some
okay.
stuff.
Like, I think if they... I don't know. I can't explain it. It's not... They're trying to be men. Let's put it that way.
Gotcha.
The rock band Power Station began in 1984 when her then boyfriend John Taylor of Duran Duran pulled some famous friends together to provide backing for another of Buell's musical efforts. She also formed the band The B-Sides in 1980, disbanded in 1985. She started another band, The Gargoyles. She managed Liv's career as an international model and actress. She represented Charisse Mickelson, who's another model. She recorded a solo effort with Don Fleming, released in 2000. She also performed around New York with the BB Buell Band. So she was in several unsuccessful bands, but she had really good backing on them. In 2009, she released her first recording in 10 years, the single Air Kisses for the Masses. In 2001, she released Hard Love, an aggressive rock album influenced by grunge and glam rock, which I haven't heard yet.
Grunge and glam.
Yes, that might be interesting.
Wow.
And she had a band. And she had a band called The Vibrators.
Nice.
72 to 78, she had a long-term on-again, off-again relationship with Todd Rundgren. She became unexpectedly pregnant from her brief relationship with Steven Tyler. She gave birth to Liv Tyler, but initially named the child Liv Rundgren and claimed that Todd was the dad. In 92, she married for the first time. She was she was wed sometime musician and actor Coyote Shivers. Does anyone know who that is?
No.
I do. He was in the movie Empire Records as like the one with the spiky like hair, who was like the guy who played like guitar like this and he talked like this. Huh. That's the only thing I know him from. because I loved his name.
Wait, I'm so confused. She was married to Todd Rundgren, or she was not?
She was not.
But
married.
he adopted.
That was her relationship.
But
for a
he
while.
adopted
Liv as her.
Okay.
Because Liv Tyler said that she was she was really pissed, like when she finally found out who her real father was, because she says Todd was very good to her.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
He was a very good father.
Yeah, but she could tell by just looking at Steven Tyler for once.
Steven Tyler could tell too, and they said it was starting to become. He talked about it on the Joe Rogan show. It was like it was starting to become like everybody's like,
they look alike.
Yeah, why do you look like Steven Tyler?
And then in 2002, she married musician Jim Wallerstein of Das Damen. Again, this was one of the groupies that Cameron Crowe took for Almost Famous to form Penny Lane, even though we know
it was Penny Molina. What's her name?
Penny Trumbull.
Penny Molina.
And I can't even think where I was now. For the film Almost Famous, Cameron Crowe developed the Band-Aid character Penny Lane as a composite of a handful of girls. We just said that. One girl who went by the nickname Penny Lane is real life Penny Lane Trumbull.
Wow.
And though they were not in the Flying Garter Girls group, various other women have been described as Crowe's inspiration. For instance, Pamela Debar and Buell partially inspired Crowe. He named the lead singer character Jeff Beebe.
You all right there?
So there's that. There's Beebe.
So you got got that going for you. You know?
We got Baby Bew.
Which I love her name too.
Sure.
I just love Beebe.
It rolls off the tongue.
Baby Bew. Who's next on your list?
I have Chris O'Dell. This is a short one.
Chris O'Dell. Like Chris O'Donnell.
But Chris O'Dell.
Oh.
She first came onto the music scene as an assistant to the Beatles label Apple Records. You guys might know who this is. I think I've talked about her before. She became a close confidant of the group and inspired George Harrison to write a song called Miss O'Dell when he was waiting for her to come to a meeting. She helped sing the background vocals on Hey Jude. After leaving Apple, she worked for the Stones while juggling affairs with Harrison, Clapton, and Ringo Starr. She then worked for Dylan and Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young as a tour manager, and she possibly was the first female tour manager ever.
Oh, neat.
And she wrote a book about the experience called Miss O'Dell, which is also on my list of books to buy now. Let me see. That's a long title. I'm not reading the whole thing. Other famous songs with O'Dell in mind were Joni Mitchell's Coyote. She is the woman down the hall in the song, as well as Leon Russell's Pisces, Apple Lady, and Hummingbird. She was in a romantic relationship with him at the time, so she got some songs written about her.
Nice.
Even by a woman.
You know, that's another thing. Maybe we should talk about songs about groupies. Do we have a list of that?
I did not do a list of songs because I had some of the songs that were inspired by them.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right, cool. So I'm not as familiar with this person. Is there anything you want to add, Pittsburgh Kevin?
I do not. Because I'm not familiar with... Well, I kind of knew of her, but I don't know a whole lot about her.
I know I've brought her up before just because of the Apple Records and the Beatles, but nothing crazy. There's not a whole lot on her. She kind of kept a low profile other than her managing because she was like really proud of that she managed actual bands.
Cool. Interesting. Right. Go ahead.
Sable Star is next on the list. She's
okay.
Sable Hayes Shields, better known as Sable Star, was a famous groupie, often described as the queen of the groupie scene. And this was in LA during the 70s. She stated during an interview published in June 73 in Star Magazine that she had met Rod Stewart, Led Zeppelin, Alice Cooper, David Bowie, Mick Jagger, Elton John, and Mark Bolan. She first attended concerts around the LA scene in 68 at the age of 11, together with older friends who had dropped out of school. She claimed to have had sex when she was 12 with adult male spirit guitarist Randy California after a gig at Topanga, California.
Jeez.
She became one of the first baby groupies who in the early 70s frequented Rainbow Bar, Whiskey, and English Disco. The girls were named as such because of their young age. She got started after a friend invited her to the Whiskey A Go-Go at the age of 14. She's later described herself at the period of time having been nuts to begin with. I always liked getting into trouble. She had considered herself unattractive, so she had a nose job when she was 15.
Wow, 15?
Yeah.
There was a girl, Kevin, do you remember, that went to Faith with us? Her name was Maureen. And she came back one year with a different nose.
And did it freak you out?
We were all like, and she was just kind of like, yeah. She was just, and it did improve her features. She had a kind of intense nose, like it caught your attention. You're like, oh, okay.
Yes.
Well, during the time she was a groupie, she still lived at home with mom and dad.
Well, as you do.
And she went to Palos Verdes High School. to placate
this
her
isn't the
parents.
chick that Steven Tyler adopted.
I don't think this is her.
Okay.
In 1973, she gave a candid interview for the short-lived Los Angeles-based Star magazine and boasted to the journalist that she considered herself to be the best of all the local groupies. She also claimed that she was closely acquainted with some of the rock music's leading musicians, such as David Bowie, Rod Stewart, and Alice Cooper. When asked how she attracted the attention of the musicians, she maintained it was because of the outrageous glam rock clothing she habitually wore, which I can totally relate to that when I'm not on the podcast, because lately I've been dressing like meh. She was often photographed alongside well-known rock musicians. These photos appeared in American hard rock magazines such as Cream and Rock Scene. She loved to get into fights with other girls. Big surprise. With Laurie Maddox. That was a rival groupie of hers. So we talked about her earlier.
Ladies,
come on now.
Please.
There's enough of Loudini to go around.
Settle down now.
Laurie Maddox told her...
Simmer down now. Simmer down now.
You can't tell psycho women to simmer down. You're going to get
you can't.
beaten. But Maddox told her once to keep her hands off Jimmy Page, saying, "If you touch him, I'll shoot you. He's mine." Her closest friends in L.A. were fellow groupies, Shay Meacham and Queenie. Model B.B. Buell described Star as having been one of the 2 top Los Angeles groupies of the era, adding that every rock star who came to L.A. wanted to meet her. So apparently she's the winner.
Good for
She ran away from home when she was 16. This is an interesting story. She ran away from home when she was 16 after meeting Johnny Thunders from New York Dolls. Went to live with him in New York City. Their relationship did not last because he was violent, jealous, and his drug addiction it got to her. He wanted to marry her after she became pregnant with his child, but she refused and instead got an abortion. Tired of the physical abuse Thunders often inflicted upon her and unable to adjust.
You should read that again, and I'll play some crazy sound effect.
Okay.
No.
Ready?
Because I'm like, I could have played something like clown laughing.
Basically, she couldn't handle it. She couldn't adjust to New York. She liked L.A. better. She couldn't stand Johnny Thunders anymore because he was beating her, basically. She moved back to L.A. She claimed that Thunders tried to destroy my personality. After I was with him, I just wasn't Sable Star anymore. He really destroyed the Sable Star thing. She made frequent visits to New York where she had an affair with Richard Hell, befriended Nancy Spungen, and participated in the local punk rock scene. By the early 80s, she was no longer a part of the groupie lifestyle. She later moved to this is sad. She later moved to Lake Tahoe, Nevada, became a table game dealer at Carson Valley Inn, and then died in her home in April 2009 of brain cancer at age 51.
Wow.
She does have a partner, a daughter, and a son.
You can't blame the brain cancer on being a groupie.
Oh, no.
No, I know.
Yeah, so it's like, let's not like...
But it's just a sad how her life ended. I'm like, you had such a party lifestyle, and now you're done.
It's okay, Lou.
Now you're a table card dealer and you died.
There, Lou.
Okay, so there's a whole shit ton of songs about groupies.
Okay, cool.
Some I didn't realize were songs about groupies. I should have known, like after I kind of glanced this.
Well, there should be 2 that you know for sure.
Absolutely. We Got Your Rock by Fraley's Comet.
I didn't.
You got a backstage pass and a nice little ass, and you say you want to take me home.
Wow.
Rocks Off by Def Leppard.
Sure.
In her red satin dress, her high-heeled shoes. Her high-heeled...
It's supposed to be shoes.
Her high-heeled shoes. She took us all by surprise.
Somebody wrote that wrong.
Yes. I Go Crazy by Queen from the album The Works. I took a baby to see a heavy band, but I never saw my baby till the encore.
And even then.
Sex and Outrage by Motorhead. That'd be a good name for a band. Sex and Outrage. Just Me and You, Teenage Backstage Sex and Outrage. Ah! Go Lemmy. By teenage, we mean 18. Backstage Queen by the Scorpions on Virgin Killer of all.
That makes sense.
Wow.
Take it easy. Life goes on, my little backstage queen.
Sorry.
For fun fact, the German word for groupie is groupie.
Yeah, that's right, Lou. I didn't know if you knew that. Yeah. The other word is Farfignugan.
Wow.
Yeah, that's right. Thank you.
What moron wrote this? All Night Long. This is a famous song. This is the other. Everybody knows Graham Bonnet sang "Since You've Been Gone" by Rainbow, but he also sings "All Night Long," which was a big hit for them. And I saw you standing down by the stage, your black stockings and your see-through dress.
Oh, that's about me. Obviously.
Yep. Sick Again. This was already mentioned off of Physical Graffiti.
That's the one we talked
Circus
about,
of L.A. Queens, How Fast You Learn the Downhill Side.
I knew this one.
Of course, and this is pretty, I should have known.
This is obvious.
Once Bitten, Twice Shy. Well, it wasn't originally by Great White, was it?
No, Mott the Hoople.
Mott the Hoople, that's what I thought. You didn't know what rock and roll was till you met my drummer on a gray tour bus.
And then obviously
this is awesome.
Who I'm talking about next.
I remember when. Okay, this is because I will do this one last. Then.
Okay.
And then we're an American band, Sweet Sweet Connie doing her act. She had the whole show, and that's a natural fact. Sweet Connie's the most famous rock and roll, one of the most famous rock and roll groupies. It was known for her exceptional oral delight.
And she did not travel with the bands.
No,
they came to her.
Come to her.
Came to her. Yeah. Put it this way: she had more rock stars inside her than Madison Square Garden.
Wow!
This Rob Zombie version paints a fresh coat on an old classic. So in the website here, there's a link to the Rob Zombie. You ever heard the Rob Zombie version?
Yes, I have it.
It's all right. And so this is the one that we're going to talk about here. Plaster Caster.
Oh boy!
Whenever they would try to scare us away from rock and roll, they would always talk about how disgusting Kiss was because they had this song called Plaster Caster.
Oh, please.
And what a disgusting thing! And you hear from all the church ladies and stuff.
The adults.
Off of Love Gun, the plaster is getting harder, and my love is perfection, a token of my love for her collect.
Man,
Kiss
I'm
has
going to tell you what.
Kiss has the greatest lyrics, don't they?
They do.
Mean Gene's inspiration for the song was Cynthia Plaster Caster, a groupie who took plaster molds of rock stars' penises. She had it done to Gene, but no doubt would have slapped a Kiss logo on it and sold rep. Kiss
and people would buy them. People would buy them.
So that is absolutely who we're going to talk about next. So what do you got?
Cynthia Plaster Caster is an American artist and self-described recovering groupie who gained fame for creating plaster casts of famous persons' erect penises. She wanted to come up with a signature move to differentiate herself from the other groupies, and she sure did.
Boom, there you go.
Her original name is last name's Albritton. She began her career in 1968 by casting penises of rock musicians. She later expanded her subjects to include filmmakers and other types of artists, eventually amassing a collection of 50 plaster phalluses. In 2000, she added casting females artists' breasts to her
Thank goodness.
list of things she does.
We do that here, by the way. If you'd like to have a plaster cast of your breasts, please
submit to these two.
Please send a self-abuse stomped antelope to 3906 Pueblo, Colorado.
Yes.
In the late 1960s, she became caught up in free love and rock music in college when her art teacher gave the class assignment to...
Free love?
Yeah, you know.
No,
back
I
in
don't.
60s. Oh, I don't either. To plaster cast something solid that could retain its shape. That was her assignment. So she hit upon the idea of casting the temporarily solid male genitalia, which would then soften and exit the mold. Genius. Freaking genius.
I was wondering how they did that.
Finding a dental mold making substance called... I can't say it. Alginate to be sufficient. She found her first celebrity client in Jimi Hendrix.
Yes, I know.
The first of many to submit to the idea.
Hendrix was the first one. God bless him.
Jimi Hendrix, of all people, for that to be your first project. Meeting Frank Zappa. Wow, what did I say?
Frank Zappa.
Where did I get that?
Oh, jeez.
It's hanging around you guys.
I feel a little verklempt.
I hate you. Meeting Frank Zappa, who found the concept of casting both humorous and creative as an art form, though he himself had never done it. She found him something of a patron. He moved her to Los Angeles. Which she described as a veritable groupie heaven, with no lack of willingness from the assistants eager to please the subjects for casting. In 1971, after her apartment was burgled, Zappa and Albritton decided the cast should be preserved in a future exhibition, entrusting them to Zappa's legal partner, Herb Cohen. I don't know who that is, for safekeeping. Herb. The exhibition idea did not...
Herb Cohen! He's my dad's attorney.
It did not take off, however, due to a sudden lack of famous rock stars willing to participate. She made no cast between 1971 and 1980. After years of wrangling, she found herself in 1993 having to go to court in order to retrieve the 25 casts Cohen held. She got all but 3 back. In 2000, she finally held her first exhibition of casts in New York City. She also decided to begin casting women's breasts, as we said. There's a film documentary from 2001, Plaster Caster, was made about her. Wow. She also contributed to the BBC 3 documentary My Penis and I, made by British filmmaker Lawrence Barraclough, about his anxiety over his 3.5-inch erect penis. She had inspired at least 2 songs, 5 Short Minutes by Jim Croce. Is that how you say that?
Yeah, Jim Croce.
5 Short Minutes of Love.
And Plaster Caster by Kiss. She also mentioned. She's also mentioned in the Momus' song, "The Penis Song," on his album Folktronic, and the Le Tigre song "Nanny Nanny Boo Boo." In 1969, Pamela Debar of Frank Zappa's group, the GTOs, recorded a telephone conversation with Cynthia from Chicago for the GTOs album Permanent Damage. In 2010, she unsuccessfully ran for mayor of Chicago, Illinois on the Hard Party ticket.
Oh, I see what she did there.
And she is the inspiration for the character Juicy Lucy in Good Girls Revolt, whom Patty interviews as a witness to the Altamont riot.
Wow.
And if you would like to find a list of all of the people she has casted, there's an extensive list on Wikipedia that you can find. And Jimi Hendrix, obviously, Richard Cole from Led Zeppelin, the manager of Led Zeppelin did it. Also, a bunch. You're not going to know many of the females. Karen O from the Yeah Yeah Yeahs.
Sure.
But, mostly a lot of managers. I saw a lot of tour managers and roadies on there. He's sighing.
Nice. This is a lady I can respect.
Right? She made a whole business out of it.
Yeah, see? See?
She made a business out of the wiener.
Out of the wiener. She's a winner with the wiener.
Wow.
All right. Give us, one more.
One more? Okay. Let's talk about Audrey Hamilton. She is
Audrey!
She is unlike most of the other well-known groupies. Instead of writing a memoir or publicizing her relationship with Robert Plant, she had kept a low profile and remained out of the public eye. She became Robert Plant's road wife and muse during Led Zeppelin's 1977 U.S. tour. She met one of the roadies at a blues club, and he asked her to come back and meet the band at the hotel. Her and Robert hit it off instantly, and he asked her to join them on the tour, and she did so without hesitation, of course, because if Robert Plant asks you to come and tour with him, you're going to go.
Yeah.
She left her husband behind to go hang out with these guys, but apparently they were in an open marriage. Okay. Traveled with them during the entire tour. It seemed as if they were in a full-on relationship, despite the fact that Robert was married at the time to Maureen Wilson. There's a shout-out to her heard on the bootleg Listen to This, Eddie, from their June 21st, 77 show. That wasn't me. The song Hot Dog is said to be inspired by her, which is kind of weird. And Groupies never ever got shout outs on tours. And now this is in forever on this bootleg, so it's on there and you can hear her name. When the tour ended abruptly due to Plant losing his young son to a stomach virus, the band went back to England. She went back home to Texas. And that was it. That was the end of the relationship. It was quick and dirty. But it wasn't just Zeppelin that she hung out with. She also canoodled with Rod Stewart, Bad Company, ELO, and Kiss. Wow. Her romance with Mick Ralphs from Bad Company shortly after her affair with Plant did not sit well with the Golden God. She said she wasn't going to wait around for him, and he was mad that she didn't want to just rekindle a relationship after several years, and she wasn't picking up any hints from him. But her groupie days ended when she became pregnant to Ace Frehley, and their daughter was born on September 19th, 1980. Baby's name is Lindsay, and they both reside in Dallas right now.
So they're together?
Yeah.
Wow! Go Ace!
See? There you go.
Go Ace.
So there's that.
Speaking of groupies, this isn't really a groupie, but there is somebody that I know personally who went to see Kiss in a different state.
Okay.
And the person will remain nameless because she may occasionally listen to the podcast. And her husband was a DJ on the big rock station.
Okay.
And so they got backstage. They got to meet Kiss, and Gene Simmons found her very, very attractive, and propositioned her. Yeah. And she said to her husband, well, what do you think? And he said, "Go for it."
It's Gene Simmons.
I kind of feel like a lot of people would do that.
And so she did Gene Simmons, and it was like, wow. I'm so not worthy. Well, not like that, but it was just like I never met anybody. It was like a kind of a crazy thing. I mean, and some people will probably judge this woman for that, because she's, a wife and a mother and stuff like that. But she, I think, found it. She was extremely flat. This woman is very physically, even still, she's our age. She's very, very, very
physically fit,
very beautiful woman.
Yes.
So, anyways, kind of a funny tie-in to that.
See, Mom, he didn't mention your name, so it's okay.
Wow.
So it's not what you think. It isn't just the screwing and
It's much deeper than that.
and the
Mostly.
screwing and the all the stuff that goes along with it. Any comments or anything? Or I thought I saw a couple. No?
Those were all from Chris, but somebody, Pamela Debar, Bill Van Horn said she had a lot of accomplishments. She has.
That she did, sir.
Other than sleeping with all the rock stars.
Anyways, guys, so cool, interesting time, a little bit offbeat, a little bit different. So maybe next time you hear about this subject or you think about this, and one of the things I think that one of the things I want to ask you about this before we move on further, it seems like the groupie thing kind of ends in the 80s. Did the grunge guys not have groupies?
They did. They did have groupies. They're just not as talked about because they didn't do anything like these girls did. They didn't go on to do businesses or manage bands or do casts of penises. They just were dirty groupies.
Okay, because I would imagine, I sort of felt it was this is one of the things that I sort of disliked about the grunge and the sort of alternative movement was a sort of we're so enlightened, we don't do drugs and we don't party and we don't have sex, we're very respectful.
Oh no,
which that it's total fucking bullshit. I'm telling you, Dave Grohl got his share of ass, and so did the guys in Pearl Jam, Kurt Cobain, all of them did. Now, if you think, you're very deceived if you think that somehow these guys were more enlightened, and the same way with guys today, for sure. Anybody's touring today, I
feel like there are less today, though.
You don't know that.
I feel like there are. I don't know for sure, but I feel like
so.
There
Anyways,
are less.
Yeah, there you are. On this day in 1957, Paul McCartney made his first appearance with the Quarrymen.
You don't say.
No way.
A Beatle did something?
The Beatles did something in 1964. Taking a day off from the British tour, the Beatles went into the studio and completed the recording of 6 album tracks and the A side of their next single, I Feel So Fine. They also completed 8 Days a Week, Kansas City, Hey, 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 Mr. Moonlight, I'll Follow the Sun, Everybody's Trying to Be My Baby, Rock and Roll Music, and Words of Love. Wow. Jimi Hendrix was not. He may have been getting his thing plaster casted on this day, but the Jimi Hendrix players also played their first gig as a band together, supporting French pop star John Holiday at the Paris Olympia in France. This was on 1966. Ode to Billy Joe, the debut album by Bobby Gentry was at number 1 on this day in 1967 on the U.S. chart. It was the only album to displace the Beatles' Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band.
Hey, look at that.
What people don't realize about Bobby Gentry is she wasn't just a cute girl who sang. She wrote those songs.
Yeah,
she actually had talent.
She's a songwriter.
All the talent.
The Temptations on this day in 1969 scored their second U.S. number 1 single with "Can't Get Next to You."
Can't get next to you.
So it was number 1 in the U.S. and went to number 13 in the U.K.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, Kevin, you'll appreciate this.
Here we go.
This day in 1979, the Buggles were at number 1 on the UK singles chart with Video Killed the Radio Star. The studio band featuring producer Trevor Horn famously was the first ever music video shown on MTV in North America.
Right. What was the second?
I don't know.
It was Pat Benatar. What is it? You Gotta Run?
You would know that.
You Gotta Hide? You Gotta Hide? Something like that? But it was Pat Benatar.
Get the hell out of here.
No, I'm serious.
Get the fuck out of here.
I'm serious. It's a very serious piece.
During a gig at the Los Angeles Coliseum, California, opening for the Rolling Stones, Guns N' Roses frontman Axl Rose announced that this would be the last Guns N' Roses concert unless the band members got their shit together. He is referring to their use of heroin.
You don't say.
This day in 1989.
Akmal Foley? What? There are 2 Beverly Hills Cops references right in a row.
Oh boy.
Oh, goodness gracious. Do you know who Midge Ure is?
I can't say that I do.
Live Aid co-founder Midge collected his OBE from the Queen for his music and charity work. The 52-year-old Ultravox singer wore a kilt for the occasion at Buckingham Palace. And this day in 2005, Madonna admitted that she wrote a groveling letter to ABBA asking if she could sample their music on her latest single, Hung Up. The singer had to sneak permission to sample Gimme, 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 and became only the second act that ABBA has allowed to sample their work. The Fugees use Name of the Game on their 1996 track Rumble in the Jungle.
Did not know that.
Oh, my goodness. And that's about it for now.
Now I'm excited because
this is some
talked
cool
about
stuff.
earlier.
This is kind of
Here
cool.
we go.
On this happy birthday shout out to this day in 1926, Chuck Berry.
No way!
Yes.
Yay!
Johnny B. Good himself.
Wow.
Singer, songwriter, guitarist, was one of the pioneers of rock and roll. Arguably, I think the people on this podcast believe he actually is the king of rock and roll.
He is.
Yeah,
Father
I
of
think
rock
that was all unanimous.
Helped develop a rhythm and blues into major elements that made rock and roll distinctive. His lyrics focusing on teen life and consumerism, plus his own brand of showmanship, became a major influence on the subsequent rock music scene. He also had a surprise hit in '72 in the UK and US with his number one single, My Ding-a-Ling. Major influence on the Beatles, the Rolling Stones. Barry's Johnny B. Good was one of the examples of music from Earth sent out into space. He died on the 18th of March, 2017 at age 90. I believe he was performing.
He was still performing.
Yeah, he was pretty much still performing.
I gotta get that money.
Kevin, you're going to Pittsburgh. Kevin, you're going to appreciate this one too.
Okay.
Born on this day in 1949, Gary Richrath.
Oh,
From American rock band REO Speedwagon, both Kevin and I, one of our favorite guitar players, underrated. 81 U.S. single number one was "Keep on Loving You" and
Yeah, I
"Can't
wasn't
Fight
born
This
yet.
Feeling." They named they named the band REO Speedwagon from REO Speedwagon, a flatbed truck. He died on September 13th, 2015.
Lou, I don't know if you know this, but nobody can talk with their guitar the way Gary does.
Oh boy.
Oh my
Wow, what a
goodness!
day.
I know. Isn't that's just like you don't really need anything else. Just taking a quick scroll. Zac Efron was born this day in 1987.
Who's she?
Who's Billie Eyelash?
Billy, I have an eyelash in my eye. Anyways, guys, so that is this day in rock, and happy birthday shout outs to some of these icons here, and shout outs to our groupies. I think this was cool. I hope that we
that's kinda cool.
clarified this subject a little wee bit.
If you want to watch some films that involve groupies,
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
we do have a list of that. So the most famous one is Almost Famous. Rockstar, The Dirt, Detroit Rock City, This Is Spinal Tap, The Banger Sisters, which is kind of more for women, cutesy, Rock of Ages, Wayne's World, and when I say Wayne's World, I'm referring to Wayne and Garth in the backstage area for Alice Cooper. Girl, I don't know if anybody's seen that one. It's pretty good. Rock and Roll High School, and there's a movie called Groupie. So you might want to watch those.
Look at that.
Wow.
Keep the party
Good
going.
stuff.
That sounds good. That sounds really good. Loudini rockandrollcircus.com and LouLombardimusic.com to get access to. This is how when we do giveaways and stuff like that, this is how you find out about that stuff. I didn't mention it earlier. It's also gives you access to our private Facebook group. This is really, guys, so cool because everybody in this group is freaking awesome. There's no snip snapping at people. There's no yeah, we're stupid because you don't like the Beatles. None of that. It's all chill, people just talking about music. Lots of people are posting bands and stuff that you go either shit, I forgot about that, or I never listened to that album by Kansas before, and this guy saying I'm going to go check it out. So a lot of cool stuff like that is going on in there. And you find out at LouLombardimusic.com and LoudiniRockandRollCircus.com. Please check out our brother from another mother, Chris Thunderwolf Dotson at wolfscustoms.online for custom paint jobs and finishes on your musical instruments. RockRageRadio.com is the app that you need to download to listen to great guitar-driven rock 24/7. There's great music programming all the time there, including
My show, which is Hot Licks with Lily 6, Thursdays at 6 p.m. Eastern, and the app is free. All free.
Nice.
All free music all the time.
Well, I mean, you can send me money, but the app is free.
I mean, yeah, there's that.
I'm really excited. A week from Sunday, dude, you have to leave that open. You can't go to work that day. That's the guitar show.
I know. Are you going to pay me? Because I probably should go to work because I've got a couple of days going off. I have to take off.
Really need to go to the guitar show.
Fuck.
You need to go. You need to.
That's right, folks. I said it. Fuck.
Yeah.
All right,
So the
I'll
guitar
go.
show is coming to Cannonsburg of all places.
Really?
Yeah.
Yep. It's going to be at the ice arena over here. The ice, yeah.
Fun.
Yeah, it's going to be very
Good
cool.
stuff.
I don't want to slip and fall.
You'll be fine.
I might break my neck. See what I did there?
My
The guitar.
Lord, I'm not
with the
ready.
drum.
I'm not ready with a rim shot. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Wow.
But so anyway, so that's the only like big event. I believe that Supervana, or we're now called. I'm sorry, we're not called Supervana. I forgot what we're called.
He's in trouble.
Nirvana Tribute Band is working on some shows, including one at Club Cafe. I will keep you in the loop.
Way.
Yes,
there.
way.
I'm fucking
Yes,
there.
way.
I'm there.
Including one at Club Cafe. So we will keep you guys in the loop on that. So guys, thanks so much. It was super fun today. Appreciate everybody who was listening online. I really do appreciate you guys. You might want to check out "I'm with the Band" by Pam De Barres.
Great book so far.
So for some more information, this was a super fun podcast. Very upbeat. I'm glad we didn't like take a downer.
No,
a bummer.
We didn't want that. No.
All right, guys. You have a great week, and we'll catch you all on the next Loudini Rock and Roll Circus.
See ya.
Creeping round the valley floor, I hear the cry of another people. Take my hand and walk through this door. I'm gonna